Howdy doody everybody, I hope you're doing great. In today's video we are talking about a brand new game that both me and Paradise have been enjoying. Paradise is here with me to talk about this one.
I'm back, and I'm excited to talk about this game as well. This is something that we've been really enjoying in our own time lately, and it has now come to the point where we have to share it with you guys.
Yeah, this is definitely one that we want to share with you guys so you can kind of pick it up. There's not that many people talking about it. It's been in beta for a while, so let's get into the video. And if you like this video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hopefully you can let us know if you want us to do more content on this or not, or if you've even heard of this game or are interested in trying it out. So the game that we're talking about today is Naraka Bladepoint. And Naraka Bladepoint is kind of like a fighting brawler BR game. I know I said the naughty word, which is BR game, but stay with me for a second. Just humor me, just chill out and keep your attention, your gaze this way, because this game doesn't necessarily feel like the same fatigue that other BR games have, because it is more focused on melee combat. And the melee combat in this game is super in-depth. It feels more like a fighting game system combat in terms of like cancelling, focused dash cancelling, framing stuff, and connecting those combos in a way that works pretty well. But Paradise is someone that doesn't necessarily play fighting games. Is this one that you enjoy?
I was so surprised that I like this game, because I'm not very good at fighting or brawler games, and I don't play them a lot myself. But what I do play a lot is like Monster Hunter, for example, and playing this game is like, oh, I just have to master weapons, and I get to once I've started to learn them, I can just start to destroy other players, and that feeling is so satisfying. And also, certain moments are so intense, there's only a few people left. I've just got some basic tier gear, and they might have good tier gear, but if I beat them, that's like a real show of skill and that kind of stuff. And there's there's so much depth, and there's such a high skill cap in this game. I don't even think either of us have got close or even seen close to the skill ceiling that this game has. But that is also a negative and a positive, because it also has that big learning curve, right, where people are going to jump in this game and get destroyed once they actually come against players, until they realize oh, I need to be parrying, I need to be animation cancelling to combo people, I need to be uppercutting and air juggling people in order to take some guys down, because they're that good. And that is where the enjoyment of the game comes for me. Whereas I don't know what it is. I think it's just that the way that the game looks and the feel of it, and the fact that it has that BR mode in it, which I know a lot of people don't like, but for me that made the fighting, brawling aspect of the game more enjoyable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it just feels like you're taking on enemies all the time, right? Rather than you just fighting one enemy, then you reload into an arena or something like this or whatever. It feels like you're fighting you're having different types of fights all the time, and you end up in situations where there's three people attacking you, and you've learnt the systems. If you've gone in and you've done the time, you've learnt how to parry, you've learnt how to dash out of the way, you've learnt your combos on your particular weapon, and you can literally become a absolute mad lad and just destroy those three enemies because you have outskilled them, which doesn't necessarily happen a lot in other games, especially in shooter BRs. A lot of the time it's just a war of attrition in terms of who's got ammo, who's got the healing stuff, which does happen in this game. But if you've got skill and you've got timing and you've got your positioning, and you've got some mechanical skill to go with it, you can definitely dominate in situations that are 3v1s. And definitely it feels good to do, and it feels horrible when it happens to you. If you see one person on the other side and they're moving absolutely mad, they're dashing, they're cancelling, they're ducking, they're doing uppercuts and stuff like that, you are scared of them because you don't know what they're going to do, because one wrong move on your side, even though if you're 3v1, you're absolutely gone, right? And I know Paradise has got a load of 3v1 clips, I've got a load of 3v1 clips, and I've just been popping off and uploading them to Twitter. I've just been enjoying the game so much.
And I actually think that, because I know a lot of people have played League of Legends, right? And there are some aspects of this game that I feel kind of cross over, the positive things about League. So one thing in League that I really like is how you have this array of characters, and some characters are really good at like countering other characters, right? And so we're coming to learn like all of these different like aspects of the characters that allow us to counter other characters. So there's 7 characters in the game. When you like load into a match, you pick one of them, and each character has an ability and an ultimate, and it has 3 different variants of its ability and of its ultimate. So you have like this case where you come against someone, but you don't know exactly what type of skill that they've got until you see them use it. So you have to like be a bit on the fly in that regard. But when we found out that like, oh, this character that we like can like grab someone and cancel them doing their ultimate because like that's just the way our character works, then it means, oh, we now can feel confident on taking on a player or a squad of players that have that character because we can play to counter them, right? And it's the same for other characters that counter our guy. So there's so much depth in the game, like on the characters, on the talisman build. So talismans are like these sort of like League of Legends runes where you can give yourself like stat bonuses to your grapple distance, because you have a grapple hook in this game, which is really cool as well for just and you can use it on players. You can traverse with it or hit players with it. But anyway, the talismans give you like a slight stat boost that you buy with the in-game currency that you get by playing. And then you have the characters that counter each other based on their ultimate abilities. Then you have the weapons, and the weapons definitely have different combo timings, different combos, just full stop, different combos, and different counters to each other. I've definitely found that I am beating, like, for example, if I'm fighting someone with a greatsword, I'm like, oh, I know that I need to parry it because it's slower and it hits really hard. Whereas if I'm fighting someone with like a katana, I know that they're going to be very quick on their charge attacks, so I might want to try and juggle them and keep them off the ground so they can't do that, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's certain aspects that you learn about the weapons and the depth of them. Like Great Skull's got like once you're like countering them, right, they've got like the stone stance, and that will reflect basically damage at you because it will charge up their great sword. And there's things that you need to be aware of on the time. And it's not only us just saying it's hard. I think there's a clip that Paradise was telling me about where a bunch of streamers, including Shroud, have gone on and they've done like a tournament essentially, and there's a clip of Shroud that's been like, this game is super fun, but it is not for casuals, and like it's just super difficult. So, and definitely for Shroud, which is one of like the best players out there for like shooters, is finding it hard, and one of the best players on like Twitch finding it hard. I feel like just treat yourself, go find some videos with other players like actually playing the game at a high level, and you'll see just looking at the movement how in-depth everything is. And I feel like people are kind of wanting to see that depth in general, which is pretty cool. But let's talk. Yeah,
I was just gonna. Can I just quickly say, because there are ranged weapons as well.
Yeah.
And when I say BR and I mention ranged weapons, I can already see people being like, "Oh, it's Apex, it's PUBG or whatever." This game is nothing like a shooter. There are ranged weapons in there, and they do have a role in like the combat, but they're mostly used when, you know, you're like, one team isn't confident enough to charge the other team, so you're just sort of taking little shots at each other, and they don't really do a tremendous amount of damage unless you get like consecutive headshots. So 90% of the time from my playing, it ultimately comes down to a melee showdown, and one team is going to be better than the other, and you better hope it's you, you know?
Yeah, and there's just epic moments. Like, what, like for me, let's talk about like our favorite moments from like the game so far. For me, there was one point where we had a fight where it was on like the cliffs of this temple that we usually spawn in, and this temple is a super hot zone. Like if you spawn in there, everybody's spawning on there, and the map kind of tells you if multiple players are spawning on that point, so you know that if it's going to be a hot spawn if you spawn in. And we ended up fighting outside of the temple on this like large cliff, and this is the most Dragon Ball Z fight that I've ever had. We're literally all 3 of us, both teams, because we're playing trios, are fighting against it. So 6 players in the air, basically using the cliff to fight, and we're all falling at the same time. And I've never had this experience in any other game ever, and it was the most like epic thing, and it just had an impact on me. It's definitely what I play video games for those moments that just feel super organic and just like not curated, but just epic on its own. And it was just like the craziest thing that I'm like one of the craziest things that I've ever experienced in a game. But that being said, Paradise, what was your favorite moments so
So
far?
I have several, but I will
Yeah.
pick just one here. So there was a recent match we did where I spawned in. We were at the temple again, a really like hot zone. Lots of players spawn there because there's good loot. And this guy was like ever so slightly ahead of me on where he spawned, and so he got all the loot. He had almost the highest tier armor right at the start, and also a spear, which I later came to learn was also a higher tier spear. They were both purple, which is the second highest rarity, which affects the damage of the weapon. And so he got all the loot. I had literally nothing, and he ambushed me from around a corner. Like, I thought I'd lost him, but he was hiding, and he started wailing on me, and I got down to like 10% HP with no weapon, no armor or nothing. But I was playing the character that has this move that effectively is a disarm. If they hit you with a charge attack while you do that move, and it's like a 1 second window, then it disarms them. And I landed the disarm, picked up the spear, and then just proceeded to end him and took his armor and all of his stuff at the start of the match. And for me, that was just like, this guy had everything in his favor, but because I timed my one ability, which goes on like a 15-20 second cooldown correctly, I was able to get the weapon and kill him before he could run away.
Yeah.
And that is so satisfying when you can do that.
You don't know how disrespectful it is. Basically, that person's picked up like one of the best weapons in the game. Paradise had literally nothing on him. He hit a counter on him, which is avoidable, by the way. Avoidable, but because this person probably got overconfident, Paradise countered that person, took his weapon, which not all players do, by the way. Took his weapon so that player could not actually use a weapon anymore, and just bullied him with his own weapon. That is the most BM disrespectful thing that you can do in a game, and it's not necessarily a thing that you can do in all games. There are aspects of that, but it is just cool that that is something that can happen, right? So
the fact that they have disarming in the game, so when you counter something, depending on the ability or the counter, the move that you hit, it can drop their weapon, right? And that is such an amazing thing in this game.
Yeah. Obviously, we're saying try it out and we're enjoying it, but that doesn't mean that everybody's going to enjoy it. It's definitely one of those games that is a BR game through and through. Well, is it a BR game? It is a BR game through and through.
Well, there is a free-for-all mode, but
yeah.
I don't think loads of people play that, but it is there.
Yeah. And it might have its issues in the future. We don't. It's kind of like an unknown developer. They've developed like I think only a few games as well, so we don't know what they're going to do in the future. But we kind of just really want to position this game to show you guys that we're enjoying it. And on my channel in general, I just want to talk about games that I'm enjoying at the moment and share them with you, because not that many people are talking about this game, and I'm uploading clips and people are super semi-interested in it. I will say, if you do start and you're bodying people, that is because you're playing the first few matches with bots just so that you can get introduced. So don't get too excited, because once you hit other players, you're absolutely going to get destroyed, and that's when you need to go into the lab and learn the deeper mechanics and stuff like that. Don't get too disillusioned by your first players that you fight, because you will get there and you will climb up the ladder, because learning this game is super fun. But there are kind of like some negative aspects about it as well that I just want to really touch on. The fact that it is kind of, it feels more like it should be a free-to-play game than a buy-to-play game, but the developers were saying that they're a smaller studio, so they need the money. They don't have necessarily a bigger publisher that is investing in them as much, so they had to go with a buy-to-play model. I don't know if I kind of resonate with that or not, but
I'll just say on that topic, I feel like it's buy-to-play. It's not like it's a full AAA game cost though, so it's a cheaper game in terms of
how much is it?
I think it was like, I think we got it on Steam for like £18.
Yeah, it's not too expensive.
And you expect to pay £60 or £70 for some AAA titles, so that is something to consider. But also, you've got games like Overwatch and COD that have their loot box skin system, and it's in those games. It's not like you're buying power, it's skins. I agree it's not the best system, especially when you do buy it, but for me, I can forgive it because it's cheaper than equivalent games that may even also have a cash up on top,
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to touch on is like latency as well. We've noticed a couple of latency, like lag in matches and stuff like that when the game is like super time dependent. I don't know how much of a big impact it is going to be, but the game's just literally launched. They did have like a beta season with a couple of beta drops and stuff like that, but it'll be interesting to see. There's a lot of players from other regions coming onto like European servers or American servers to really play, and that kind of adds like high-paying players, which is kind of a ropey one. So it will be interesting to see if they can remedy that or not. So the game's not without issue, but it's definitely something that I wanted to recommend to you guys to take a look at. Watch a couple more videos, watch a couple more gameplay videos, and if it piques your interest and it's something that looks interesting to you, then try it out. Is there anything that you wanted to kind of tell the people?
I just want to say, like, this is just us saying that this is a game that we find fun.
Yeah.
And we think maybe you would find it fun. And I love it when friends message me and they're like, I played this game, you might not have heard of it, but it's actually fun. Maybe give it a try and let's play. And I'm like, okay. And then if it turns out to be like Naraka, it's like, oh, we're playing this every day now, you know.
Yeah, I've just become like super addicted to this. This game is one that I'm like watching videos on how to get better. I just want to play like literally someone. I'm normally in bed by like 11 o'clock at night. One of my friends yesterday was like, oh yeah, do you want to play a couple of matches? Like, I was like, all right, I'm turning the PC back on. Let me jump back on and play a couple of like fights and see what's going on. And it was fun. It was a fun time. And then I was just like, I'm ready for bed now. But like, I wouldn't do that for other games. I'm definitely more excited about it. I feel like it's got the intensity of like a PvP game, and it feels like there's a lot of on the line in terms of like it being a BR game as well. I don't feel like I need to go for wins in this game as well, which is an interesting point.
True, yeah.
I feel like the reward is almost like just fighting a single player and actually winning a fight. Like every single fight feels like it's got that sense of gratification in it, more so than any other like PvP game. But you guys can really let me know if it's something that's interesting to you and if you're going to pick it up or not. But that is basically everything, right? There's nothing else that I really need to cover in terms of all of that stuff. If you guys enjoyed this video, then leave a like. Definitely just keep your mind open about this one and try out Naraka Bladepoint. I'm definitely gonna be making more content on that, and you guys can let me know if you want to if you want us to make more content. I think today's keyword to let us know that you've made it to the end of the video and you've enjoyed this video is katana, which is Paradise.
I was thinking the same word. Oh my gosh, you read my mind.
Which is Paradise's favorite weapon. So put katana in the chat in a sentence for us, so that we know that you've made it to the end of the video and you're an actual MVP. Anyway, guys. Oh no, Paradise. What video do you have going out?
Well, over on my channel, we're going to be talking about Naraka, but we're going to be talking about it in the scope of Monster Hunter players, right? So we're going to be talking a lot about like referencing Monster Hunter and people that play it. So if you guys play Monster Hunter, and I have a feeling some of you might do, then maybe check that out and you can hear more of our thoughts over there as well.
Alright guys, thank you so much for joining us on this video. I'm going to love you and leave you. Peace out. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget you can subscribe so you don't miss another video.